me, Renee. I'm back. And as you can see from the title, this is kind of a journey. Yeah, a recap of my rereading last week. Because, I've been talking a while about rereading some books. I used to, sorry, I used to reread more a few years ago, but now it's like there's so many shiny books that like rereading doesn't really go high uh, on my reading priority list. But yeah, last week I was in the mood to reread some stuff, so I did, and I kind of want to talk about that. So yeah, um, spoiler alert. For most of these rereads, I very much enjoy them, and for one of them, it didn't really work. So that's kind of interesting, I would say. But yeah, I reread. Ended up like in a way like three different authors. Oh, actually four different authors. I did The Distance Between Us, The Fill-In Boyfriend, and Listen to Your Heart. All fluffy, nice Casey West books. Well, I suppose all these are fluffy, nice books, summary books. And yeah, so Casey West, like, what I really love about her, is that she, like, most of the books are either like 290 pages, or it's like 301 pages. So they're just like they're very quick to get through. I suppose yes. I mean, in a way, it's kind of bad because sometimes you kind of you want more, and in 290 pages, you can't really get that deep into stuff because there's not enough page room. But still, you get deep enough into it that you kind of it's a full story. Like I feel like in a way, like I think I read a YA, or maybe it was a I think maybe it was an adult book 2 or 3 years ago. It was just kind of like 110 pages, and I felt like for like 50% of that book, nothing happened, and then the last half of the book, everything happened, and there was kind of like no middle, and I feel like you kind of, I suppose, yes, I mean, short books can work, and like example wise, Casey West makes shorter reads work. But I feel like if you're gonna write a short book, you should like kind of be able to know that you can like you have to prioritize. You can't write a book about the whole history of Catholicism because I mean that's a long history and you can't do that in a short period. I mean, I suppose you could, but then you'd have to skip a lot and do a lot of prioritization. And yeah, it's kind of difficult. I would say, like even like this, like even a Norwegian non-fiction series where they have like this and this topic in 200 pages, but it's 200 pages, so you still have quite a lot of time. 110 or 100 pages, I feel like that's just too short time to like write anything good really. If you were to do that in like a picture book, millimeter book, yes. If you're gonna do that with an adult or YA, that you normally doesn't really work. But yeah, 290 pages or like 300 pages, like Case West does, yes, that definitely works. And yeah, so the distance between us. It's set in a small town by the coast. One of those towns where you're either rich or you're poor, or like suppose you're either rich or you work for the rich. That was kind of like Neptune in Veronica Mars, but it's not that gritty. And this book takes place during summer, in during a few weeks, and yeah, a romance happens between the poor girl and the rich boy, and there's some there's funny aspects to it. It has kind of like a bit aspects like what I want to do in my life. Like they both don't really know what they're going to do after high school, and they kind of also think about that. So it's not just like, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so beautiful. No, it's more than just love, which I suppose you have to have. You can't just have a love story about like just into a relationship. You have to have whole characters as themselves for it to be interesting to see them together. But yeah, it's definitely a very good book. I did kind of feel like when I finished it, kind of felt like I kind of would have wanted a bit more in it. Like at the end something happens, and then you don't really go deeply into it. And it's like, why don't you go more deeply into this thing? I suppose the yeah, I don't really understand why. I would feel like either you shouldn't have made that choice, or you could have made that choice, but like written the book a bit like 40 pages longer and then gone into that thing. Or you could have like done like a epilogue or like a spin-off where just like that thing was explored more. It wasn't, but it's not like a huge. It's not like a huge left down, but yeah, it's kind of it grinds my gears a bit. Then we have the fill-in boyfriend, which I think it's kind of interesting because it's a bit different because these two books, I mean, they're all by the same author, but these two books have kind of like main character who nobody looks at, who's just kind of grey and nobody likes me. This has a main character who's popular, uh, and I suppose in a way it's shallow, but also you kind of notice from the start that she's not very shallow. She's just a bit shallow, and I mean she just go for a good um, words character arc for the story. And spoiler alert, it's a huge spoiler, but yeah, at the end of the book, she ends up having a boyfriend, but she's kind of outgrown her friends, which like usually you kind of want to keep both in like contemporary. You kind of don't want it to be all sad and stuff, but then she also has gotten some new friends, and I kind of like in a way that she kind of this is a book where she kind of outgrows some friends, and she kind of feels like it's not that sad because she kind of she kind of realizes it's not like I want them back. It's kind of like no, you know what, those friends belong to a time for the old me, and new me has new friends. And I like life is like I feel like in a lot of the books, the main character has like friends that they had for like 10 years, 20 years. Like if it's an adult book, 20 years. It's like I suppose yes, I can understand it, but I feel like also like often you lose contact with your friend from kindergarten or primary. Like always having books where they our main character are best friends for since forever. It's like, is it that realistic? So I kind of like how this book, yes, she's been friends with them for a long time, but like in the end, she kind of grows out of them and gets new friends. And I feel like that's kind of realistic. Like in real life, you get new friends. Like for me, personally, I haven't really had in contact with my friends from primary school. Like I suppose I could like see them now and then, but I'm not like friends in the same way. Now I'm more acquaintances. So yeah, and but yeah, and yeah, and yeah, she goes from having best friends and being very popular to not being that popular, but like still just being become a different person in the end. And yeah, quite like that. This story, the story being told in this book. And yeah, give me a moment. You get thirsty talking a lot. So yeah, Casey West, definitely a book everyone should think book. I also think you should check out if you want something quick. Because I was about to say you could read in a book in a day. I suppose it depends on how fast you read, but like yeah, it's none of the books are huge chunkers. They're fluffy. I mean, they're fluffy with like sorry, they're fluffy with something more to it, but yeah, they're fluffy and nice. So if you want something quick, entertaining, and nice read, check out Case West. She has like 10 reads now, 10 books now. Yeah, 10 books. She also has two sci-fi books, kind of X-Men-ish, but yeah, mostly she writes contemporary. And yeah. Then we have sorry, Morgan Matson. So first we have Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, which is a book, or I would say it's kind of it's kind of different. Like it's got more depth to it than Casey West books, or at least this book has. I would say both of them actually do. But yeah, they're still not like about World War II, but yeah, a bit more heavier. Like Amy in this book, her dad has died, so she's kind of like still grieving over him, and she's moving across country, and her her brother is in a bad place. I'm not gonna say what because yeah, kind of fun for you to get it by yourself. Though this came out 10 years ago. Actually, no, actually more like 12 years ago. 2010 came out actually. Uh, but yeah, so I suppose you might have read it already or heard about it. If you haven't, that's when it came out. Um, but yeah, it kind of, I would say it's a bit more, I suppose it's a bit more about poster about growing up, I would say, like, yeah, growing up, uh, accepting change and discovering who you are, yourself, and the world. I mean, it's called Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. And yeah, they go on a road trip and they end up doing a lot of detours, but I would say also like maybe detours like mentally, but also like and like on the travel. And yeah, sorry. Also, side note here, I'm kind of curious. I suppose I don't really quite know like how like people who watch my channel if you're my age or younger, or maybe a person is watching this video, simply this video, is like 2022. I don't know if you are. But I'm kind of curious because I heard someone say that they thought that kids, that sounds weird, uh, kids or like teens nowadays, they won't read a contemporary for like 10 years ago because the contemporary will be so, also will be more historical than contemporary. For example, this book talks about iPods, which if you talk to a like 11-year-old now, 11-year-old wouldn't read this. If you talk to like 15-year-old now, would they know what the iPod is? Maybe that they would have heard the name because like internet. I know names and stuff. I don't know what it is. But yeah, would they really know the concept of iPod, like what it like meant, what it was? Uh, so I suppose in that way, yeah. I mean, some parts of this book is kind of outdated because they use iPods. But on the same way, same time, like lots of things in this book, I would say it's still kind of applicable. Applicable. It's still valid, still current. But like, I suppose also you could have like you have like if you have a like for example, talk about the traveling sister of the traveling pants from 2000s. That series, it's kind of I suppose in a way now it's kind of known as a modern classic. But it came out between like I want to say 2002, 2003 to like 2000 and well the last book came out 2012, 10. But yeah, the main story came out like between 2002, 2005, 6. Because like the last book is kind of more adult spin-off. But yeah, there's like first a quartet and then they had like adult epilogue book in a way. But like the main sorry, the main book series takes place like between the early 2000s. So there's no Facebook, there's no Instagram, there's no YouTube. Like nowadays, those kinds of things, well, not Facebook, but like internet is kind of a big part of people's everyday life. So if you're gonna read a contemporary that doesn't have that in it, does it feel weird, off? But I don't know. For me, I don't know if that I suppose maybe it's just kind of me because I always like I suppose also like I like historical reads. So I suppose in that way I'm not like that off to like reading older contemporary books. Also feels weird to call older contemporary books historicals. But yeah, do you think that you'd read a book that was set in like current day, like I mean current day when but I'm thinking like after 2000, but a book that doesn't like involve internet and internet world and all that stuff, would you read that or what do you think? Do you think it has to be current for kids to read? Well, kids, young people to read it, not that old. I suppose then again, I mean, teens and kids still like fantasy, and fantasy never has like uh internet in them. I suppose, yeah, love fantasy does. Though I suppose also you could say like fantasy from today. it's different from fantasy from like 20 years ago, because fantasy today you could have non-binary main characters, you could have gay main characters, you could have main characters that are not white. So I suppose you could have, like, I mean, even if it's a fantasy that's set that's written today, you could still kind of see that's written today, even if it's a fantasy in a fantasy world. So I suppose that way, yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of curious about what you think about this topic. So if you like, comment down below. Will be fun. And yes, and then we have also Save Dates by Morgan Matson. So this is kind of set during a weekend, just one weekend. And so the main character, she's a part of a big family. She has three brothers and sisters. One of them, Lenny, is getting married. And so the whole family gets together this weekend to celebrate her. And so there's lots of things that, I mean, of course, the the wedding doesn't go as planned. I mean, there's lots of things that happen that kind of they have to fix and stuff. And then there's also like things about her choosing a college, and yeah, there's things about growing up here as well, I would say. But I suppose, yeah, I would say this is a bit more cheerful than this one, which was, yeah, this is about a girl who's grieving her father. This is about, I would say, more, maybe in a way, it's about a woman grieving her high school years, though it's not quite that. But yeah, it's a bit more cheerful. It is, though, yeah, main character still likes uh, things the same and stuff. But yeah, they're both, yeah, recommendable reads, of course. And yeah, I did read them, enjoy them very much, both of them. Yeah, both of these also, I believe I only read them once. So yeah, there's the first time rereading this time, those books. And yeah, both of them I read a while ago, so I don't really remember all the bits. I think also that's kind of fun, like, aspect to rereading, because sometimes, at least with me, some books I have reread like more or less every year. Like for a time, I reread a book more or less every year. Like now, I could more or less tell you the plot of Shadowland by Meg Cabot by heart, because I know it so much, because I read it so many times. And then there's some books where you reread them every few years. Like these books, this is my second read on them, but yeah. So when I read them, it's like, oh, I remember I enjoyed this, but I don't really remember what happened in it. So you kind of get more surprised. But yeah, not that I didn't. I suppose, yeah, it's a different enjoyment. Like when you reread something every year, because you remember what you're going to, but you still like kind of like thinking, oh yeah, this thing is happening and this thing is happening, and yeah, you don't really remember what's happening. You just kind of remember enjoying the book, and yeah, and yeah, still very much enjoy the book this time around, even though I did remember things now and then. And though I suppose, yeah, I didn't remember a lot of these books. I didn't remember a lot of Case West books, so it wasn't like reading it for the first time, but yeah, I was reading for maybe like the first and a half time, because I read a lot, remember a lot of it, but not all of it. And yeah, then yeah, sorry. And then we have Geekarella by Ashley Poston. And yeah, I put kind of like plastic on it, because I kind of want to protect it. And yeah, sorry. So this is a Cinderella retelling, as you might have guessed. I mean, bigger Ella. Uh, and yeah, it's the first in a trilogy of fairytale. Well, sorry, first in a trilogy of stories retelling, because the second book is a Princess and Pauper retelling, not because that's not a fairy tale. It's more like a story. But yeah, and yeah, I remember loving this when I was younger. Well, younger, yeah, younger. I'm older now, but yeah, you know what I mean. It came out in 2015, and well, 2015, 2012, no, 2017, 17, yeah. And I remember reading it then and absolutely loving it. I suppose it came out like a bit late, because like I suppose kind of in a way came out in that kind of trend, but like after fangirl, when you got like different books based around fandom. I mean, fangirl came out in 2013. This one in 2017, so a few years later, but still. And I very much enjoy how it's kind of done, like the version Cinderella in this way. It's kind of, it has a mean stepmom, but I would say maybe the stepmom is not like evil, but she's more mean. But I mean, she's still meanish. And then in this version, I've just one of the things where one of the stepsisters is not so bad, which happens in some of the versions. And also Prince Charming in this one is Asian American, so yeah, quite cute in that way. Not that other people aren't cute, but yeah. Um, and uh, and there's also like here and then there you have like you have text conversations, which yeah, I very much enjoy that kind of stuff in books. And yeah, I just loved it. Second time reading it. Kind of, I remember the main character being kind of more empowering, not more empowering, being more sassy. She wasn't so sassy as I remember her, but I still enjoyed her and still liked her. And yeah, you go, girl. Also, I'm just kind of miffed that this still hasn't been adapted because I feel like it's a no-brainer to adapt this. Like Disney Plus could adapt it, or yeah, I feel like Disney Plus could really adapt it. I think that would be kind of the perfect place to do it. And yeah, sad it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully in the future. I mean this year, the sorry, the statistical probability of love at first sight is finally coming to Netflix. So just because a book is older doesn't mean it's not gonna be adapted. So yeah, maybe soon it happens. Wow, oi! I almost fell down from my yeah. I mean, this is just water. It's just water. Yes. So yeah. Most of these books I very much enjoyed rereading. Had a lovely, amazing time. This last one. Give me a moment. Yes. So I also picked up Wake Unto Me by Lisa Catch. So I remember reading it. Look, it came out in 2011. I believe I read it like the same year. Yeah, I believe it's probably around then. 2011. And I've had it on my shelf and ever since. I don't think I actually ever reread it. Maybe once, like in a in a year or so after, but like I haven't read it in a long time. But I do remember loving it so much. And then I picked it up last Monday, and I read a few chapters, and then I wasn't that into it, but ended up like reading more in it. Like I ended up finishing it yesterday, so like yeah, I read over a whole week. And it's not like it's a long book, it's 281 pages. So under 300 pages. And it still took me 1 week to finish. So that kind of tells you all, doesn't it? But yeah, I don't really get why it wasn't that into it now than I was the first time. I suppose maybe I've gotten older and have different tastes now and stuff like that. But like the things that happen in this book, there's like impossible love story. There's a historical aspect to it. There's ghosts and like ghost-like things happening. There's a mystery happening. Also secret societies. All those things I love. I still love very much. And also another book that came out around that same time, that I read from library and that I reread from library a few months ago now. I love that one. That's called Evermore by someone I can't remember. But yeah, I'm gonna link it down below. And yeah, it kind of has the same the same elements. But I love that one. And this one, yeah, I wasn't that into it. I'm not quite sure if the writing in it is wrong or bad. If I've just matured too much for this book, then why hadn't I for other books? I don't know. It feels weird, interesting, strange. I think part of it, like one of the elements in this book was like the secret society thing, and you had like a prologue where like that happened, and then yeah, honestly, I think kind of what other thing that kind of bothered me was like the epilogue kind of gave away like or like yeah, I suppose two things for the epilogue. One, the epilogue kind of wrapped stuff really up, and I feel like epilogues shouldn't really do that. Last chapters, or last two chapters should do that. The epilogue, I feel like at least I feel like you should be able to skip an epilogue, so like it shouldn't have essential things in it. It should like I feel like an epilogue should be like um uh a just extra thing to like enjoy. It shouldn't be something like if you skip it, you'll lose something. And yeah, if you don't read the epilogue here, you'll lose the conclusion. And yeah, but also like yeah, the secret society of this it was hinted and then didn't really happen. And like this time, I felt like you know what, maybe like because yeah, honestly, yeah, the epilogue kind of gave me like sequel building up, sequel teasing vibes. But I'm pretty sure I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure there's only one book. I'm pretty sure it is standalone. You know what? Have them check it out. I'm gonna double check it. Give me a moment. I'm gonna check it if it's a standalone. Check it out. So the author has other books, but the other books is not in the same universe as this one, or at least not like according to Storygraph. So yeah, supposedly this does not have sequels, which yeah, it just feels kind of weird. Because yeah, I feel like in a way, I feel like the whole kind of thing kind of leads to like teases or leads up to a sequel, and then it's never happened. I mean, yes, sometimes a sequel doesn't come up before 10 years after, but like it's 2023 now, so it's been like 13 years. So no, it's been 12 years. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with that. But yeah, Wake Unto Me by Lisa Catch did not work the second time reading it. Didn't really work for me. So yeah, this is going to a little free library, or yeah, I suppose like yeah, I'm gonna give it to used bookstore because you never know, someone else might enjoy it when I didn't. I mean, someone else might enjoy it. There's always gonna be someone who enjoys a book. I mean, no book is universally hated. Absolutely no book. And that's kind of why I love used bookstores because you can give the books that you didn't enjoy and kind of give them to another reader and hopefully they enjoy it better. Well, they probably will because yeah, there's a book for everyone out there. And yeah, that's kind of it for this audio. I'll see you soon and bye.